Hello friends, welcome to my channel. This is Charan. In this video tutorial, I will explain in MVC web application how to create a CRUD operation with PostgreSQL database using Entity Framework. If you are a first time visitor to my channel, please subscribe to get the latest updates. Before creating a new MVC web application, first we'll create a table in PostgreSQL database. I just logged into this database. Notice in this database there are three databases. Now first database, I want to create a new table in this Charan database. So select the database Charan, right click the mouse, go to query tool. Now let's type the query to create a table. Create table EMP. The table name is EMP table, and let's add the columns EMP ID. I'm adding serial, which is nothing but a prime auto increment column, and this column is a primary key. After that, I'm adding EMP name, varchar, the data type is 150, and email varchar 150 100. Let's take this 100, and salary integer type. Just for the demo purpose, I'm adding only simple columns into this EMP table. Now let's create this table, execute. And here we got a message, query returned successfully. So now let's expand this to Charan database as well as the public folder. Now right now we have tables 9. Let me expand this tables folder. See here the EMP table is created successfully. Now let's browse this table, select start from EMP. Let's execute this statement. Right now this EMP table contains 0 rows. Now my aim is I want to implement the CRUD functionality, create a record, reading a record, update and delete functionality on this EMP table in MVC using Entity Framework. So let's start the coding part. For this video tutorial, I'm creating a new web application. So I'm selecting the ASP.NET Web Application .NET Framework. Click Next. Let's give the project name is MVC Entity Framework CRUD functionality PostgreSQL database. PostgreSQL. This is my project name, and the .NET Framework I'm using 4.7.2. Right now this is the latest one. Then click Create. After that, I'm selecting the MVC template. Then click Create. And the project is created successfully. Let me close this default window. First, in this application, when we are dealing with a particular database, we need to require the necessary DLL packages of the database. Here in this example, I'm using PostgreSQL database. So I require the PostgreSQL database DLL library. So first in this project, notice the references folder. Let me expand that one. If you check here, there is no any PGSQL DLL libraries. Let's install in this application. Select the references folder, right click the mouse and go to manage netted packages. After that, go to browse tab and search for npgsql, and this is the DLL library I want to install. Select that one, click install. Okay, and this package is installed successfully. Notice we got the green download button. Let's check in this references folder. See here we got npgsql is added successfully. After that, in the same references folder, I am adding the Entity Framework 6 npgsql. This is the DLL library I am looking for. Click install. It will take time to install this package. Click OK. Then accept the license, and here the package is installed successfully. Let's check here. Here it is, the Entity Framework 6.npgsql package is installed successfully. Let's minimize this references folder. After that, let's close this nudget package also, which we don't require anymore. Now let's add a class in this models folder. Select the models folder, right click the mouse, add, then click class. And the class name I'm giving, it's a EMP class add. And here we got our EMP model class. This class is just a POCO class which contains only properties. So first, before add the key, Alt Enter. So here we got a prompt with using system.component model.data annotations is required for this method. So I'm double click that one. After that, let's add the properties. Prop, double tap, it will create a property integer type. The first one is the EMP ID. In our table, we have 4 columns: EMP ID, EMP name, email, and salary. So let's add those all properties here. Prop, double tap, it's a string data type, EMP name, and the next one is a prop, double tap, string, email, and the last one is property, which is the integer type, and it's a salary. So after adding the properties, now the most important step is above the class we need to define the table. In this table method, the first thing, now in this table attribute, the first property takes the name, our table name is EMP, copy that one, paste here, comma, the next one, and the next one is the schema. So add the schema is equals to, between double quotes, the schema is the table. In the schemas there is a public folder, add that one public. That's it. After creating a POCO class in this models folder, next we'll configure the connection string. Open web.config file. In this web.config file, come to the bottom. Notice here the npg SQL providers is installed automatically when I install those packages in the references folder. So now we just require the connection string. When we are adding connection string, notice the config section. Add the connection string after closing the config sections. Here connection string we need to add connection strings. Add name is equals to my connection is a connection string name, connection string is equals to, here our connection string we are getting from the PostgreSQL database. So first let's add the server is equals to, the server name is, switch over to the database. Notice the PostgreSQL 12, the root folder, select that one, right click the mouse, go to properties. In the properties there is a connection tab, select that one. Here you can find the connection string properties. The first one is a host name address, which is nothing but our server name. Here our server name is localhost. So copy that one and paste here, semicolon. Next thing we require the port number of our database. The port number is 5432. Again copy that one and paste here. Then we require the database is equals to the table I have created in the Charan database. So let's add the database name is Charan, semicolon, user ID is equals to, the user name is Postgres, copy that one and paste here, colon, and the last one is the password is equals to password 123, semicolon. And the next thing we require the provider name is equals to npgsql, and is capital here. That's it. After adding the connection string, next step we require the application DB context class. So first we'll add one new folder to our application. Select the application project name, right click the mouse, add, select new folder. Now let's create a folder name here is data context. Now in this data context I am adding application DB context. Select the data context folder, right click the mouse, add, click class, and the class name is application DB context. .cs. Then click add, and here we got our application DB context class. Now in this application DB context class, we need to inherit the DB context class, but that DB context class we need to import from using system.data.entity. Then we require the models class also. Using the models folder is inside my application name, project name dot models folder, so I can access the models class also. Colon, let's inherit DB context. Then let's define a constructor public application DB context, the class name, colon base. This base I'm adding name or string, colon, between double quotes. Now between these double quotes I'm adding my connection string name, which is openweb.config file. My connection string name is my connection. Copy that one and paste here. Now after that, let's define the property. It's a virtual property, virtual DB set. In this DB set, I'm adding my T entities. The entities we are getting from the model class, which is the EMP class, and the property name is EMP object. That's it. It's a property name, EMP object. After that, let's build the application first. Build the application. Then after I build the application, next we'll create a controller in this controllers folder. So select the controllers folder, right click the mouse, add, click control. And from the scaffold items, I'm selecting the MVC file controller with the views using Entity Framework. If I select that one, and notice with this controller, we can able to create, read, update and delete and list entities. So I'm selecting this Entity Framework, click add, and the model class is, here the model class is EMP class, so select that one, EMP class. Then the data context class, we have to add our data context classes, application DB context. After that, the EMP class controller. So what I'm doing, instead of EMP classes, I'm simply adding EMP controller. Click add. The controller name is EMP controller. And here the controller is created automatically. Notice in this controller, the action result index, details, create, edit and delete methods are added automatically. And also notice this EMP in the views EMP folder also created automatically with these templates, create, delete, details, edit and index templates added automatically. Let's open index.cshtml, and notice in this index.html the records are already binded automatically, so we don't need to do anything. Just run this application to check the output, the CRUD functionality is working or not. Run the application, and here we got the final output of the EMP table in the index view page. In the index view page, there is a create new link, and below that we got the employee table. Right now this EMP table contains 0 rows. Let's check in our database table also. Let's execute this select start from EMP. Notice right now this EMP table has 0 rows. Let's implement insert a record, update the record, get the details of the particular employee and delete the record of the employee. Let's create a new employee. The employee name is Charan, cha@gmail.com, and salary is 50,000. Click create. See here the Charan employee details is inserted successfully. Let's check in our database table also. Now in the Postgres database table, let's execute this statement. See here we got the Charan details. Let's insert the another employee record. This time I'm adding Peter@gmail.com. pet@yahoo.com, and salary is 40,000. Create. Here we got the Peter details. Now let's check in our database table also. Execute. Here we got the Peter details. Now let's update the Peter email ID. Click edit. The email ID I'm changing to p@gmail.com. Save. So here the Peter email ID has been changed. Let's check in our database table also. Right now this Peter email ID is pet@yahoo.com. Let's execute this statement. See here the new email ID is p@gmail.com. The email ID has been updated successfully. Now let's delete the Peter record. Before delete the record, let's get the churn details. See here we got the churn details. The MP ID is 1. We can back to list. The Peter record, the Peter details, employee ID 2. Back to list. Let's delete this Peter record. Are you sure you want to delete this? Delete. See the Peter record has been deleted successfully. Let's check in our database table also. Right now we have Peter record. Let's execute this query. See there is no more Peter in our table. That's it.